So you always want to start with dessert first. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to get started with a butterscotch pot de crème that will knock your socks off. This is one of my favorite things. It's like pudding for grown-ups. And I'm not talking about the stuff that comes out of the box. This stuff is really going to knock your socks off. And pot de crème, by the way, is just a fancy French way of saying pot of cream. So we're going to get started with some eggs. I've got a couple of bowls here because I want to separate these guys. So basically what we're doing is we're making a custard. So I'm going to take my eggs, just gently crack these. Now there's a million ways to separate eggs. There's all kinds of fancy gadgets you can use. You can go back and forth with the shells. I find every time I do that I always end up breaking the yolks. So I just put them through my fingers. Just make sure your hands are clean. Alright. Now what we're going to do is we're going to whisk up these yolks just to break them up, just to make them smooth. A little whisk. Okay, so now we're going to get started turning these yolks into custard. We're going to start with a little bit of milk. We're going to use whole milk here because we want this to be a nice rich pudding. So I need about a cup of milk and 2 cups of heavy cream, which is this whole thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour this all into my pot. Beautiful. Add our milk. And I'm going to put about a 1/4 cup of dark brown sugar, pretty tightly packed. And that's going to give it that deep caramelized flavor. We're going to get this over the flame. Now basically I want to bring the milk just below the boiling point. That's what they call scalding milk. I don't want to take it too far. I just want to see little bubbles and a little steam coming off the top. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take another pot and we're going to do some water. About a 1/2 cup of sugar, 1/2 cup of water. And that's going to melt together and start to make this beautiful caramel sauce. And we're looking for something that's really about the color of a copper penny. So a little bit of water goes right in. And we're going to set this over high heat. Now, this is the type of thing that you definitely want to watch really closely because as soon as the color starts to change, it's going to go from light to dark fairly quickly. And if you burn it, your whole thing's going to end up tasting like burnt sugar. And that's not exactly what we're looking for. Now when the sugar starts to change colors, it's going to go pretty fast. It's going to go from a light amber to a golden amber pretty quickly, so you want to stay on top of it. And as soon as it's the right color, you want to turn off the flame, and we're going to pour in the scalded cream mixture. And that's going to bubble up pretty violently, so you want to stand back and go slow. We're going to grab a little strainer. And now slowly, I'm going to whisk this hot cream mixture into these egg yolks. And you definitely want to take the time to go slow because you don't want to scramble the eggs. So this is where a little bit of patience goes a long way. Alright, so now you want to take the time to strain this through a little wire sieve. And the reason being is because if there are any little bits of scrambled egg, you definitely don't want to end up with those in your butterscotch pot de crème. So strain it through. Okay, so the custard's strained, beautiful, and now we're going to hit this with a little bit of vanilla and a little bit of salt, because salt is really the thing that's going to make it taste like butterscotch. So 1 teaspoon of really good vanilla extract goes in. Make sure you're using the pure stuff, this is no time for imitation. Then we're going to hit it with a little bit of salt. 1 teaspoon. Now I know it sounds like a lot, but it's really going to go a long way toward making this taste like butterscotch, and that's exactly what we're going for here. So give that a stir just to make sure that gets incorporated. The real secret to this is we're going to cook this in a water bath, which is going to create a nice, moist, steamy environment in the oven, and that's going to make sure that this pudding cooks up beautifully. So set these ramekins in. Now I always like to put this into something with a spout. It just makes it a lot easier for me to get it into the ramekins without making a huge mess. And I fill these up almost to the top. Beautiful. Last one. So I've got a pot of hot water back here. So you fill these up just about halfway. Perfect. And these are going to go into a 350-degree oven for 25 to 30 minutes, just until they're set and have a slight jiggle in the middle. So So the butterscotch pot de creme is out of the oven. It's been out for a while, and I've let it cool down completely to room temperature in the water bath. Now I'm going to show you guys how I put this together. I like to set one of these on a plate, just hit it with a little dollop of whipped cream, and as a finishing touch, a couple of raspberries and some powdered sugar. And then just hit it with a little bit of powdered sugar all over the top. All right, time for me to stop talking, time for me to start eating. I'm going in. Oh my God, that is so good. Wow. You guys definitely have to try this. Oh, that is so good.